Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Pain to Change with Dr. Clarice. I am Dr. Clarice, and as usual, you already know that I'm excited, I'm exuberant, I am grateful to be here. Truly grateful. We are in very interesting times, but even though we're in very interesting times, we have very interesting solutions. And one of those solutions is my guest. My guest, Dr. Gloria Morrow, who is a certified licensed psychologist. She's doing great things. She's got a book coming, two books coming out this month, and she has an event October 12th. But before we get to all that, I'm going to bring her on stage. But I also want to say she's going to talk about something that I felt. I asked her to come on the podcast like in August, but her schedule very busy. That's great. Um, she wasn't able to schedule until now, but timing is everything. So since I asked her to come on the podcast, I've lost a couple of friends. We're going through all sorts of things with the CK situation that does not stand for Clarice Kavanaugh. That's me, the other CK, right? And people are grieving, people are hurting. So, on behalf of the Pain of Change and Dr. Clarice, if you've lost anyone in the last year or so, or months or weeks that is near and dear to you, hopefully this podcast will help you. So, without any further ado, please help me welcome my soror, my friend, Dr. Gloria Morrow. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing excellent. How about that?
That's awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing well too. I cannot complain.
Well, you're just doing so much. I mean, oh my God, I just admire you so much, and I just think you're amazing. I'm blessed to know you. I'm blessed to know that you're my soul, and you've shared so many good things with me. And I have decided you're like my resident psychologist. So my go-to person, like because you're just full of knowledge. So what I want you to do, Dr. Gloria, tell me a little bit about yourself, things you're working with, which working on with future, but uh that might take up the whole 59 minutes.
Oh.
You always got something wonderful going. I've never seen anything like it. Well, I don't think, but anyway. So walk me through. I met you through the Chicago school where we both worked, and you were filming in the lobby, and I'm like, I'm looking downstairs like, is that a black woman? Is that a film crew? Because there were no black women working there other than probably me and one other person. Uh, so it was like an anomaly in a university, like, and you were filming. Actually, it worked for this school for like an hour and had an entire film crew. And I'm like, how she do that? You can't even get a pen or a piece of paper right. Anyway, walk me through that. Bring me up to date. Then we're gonna talk about grief and what you think about it.
Okay, well, first of all, Dr. Clarice, thank you so much for having me. And you can't say a thing about me because everyone who's watching, they know they will see you everywhere, all over the place, doing your thing. So I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up.
But we're just collaborating. We're partners in crime, right? So
Yes,
we're just
absolutely.
trying to show them older ain't over. That's
Ab-
all.
that's it exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I am so blessed because people our age sometimes just give up. And I'm so grateful. And so I have less time in front of me than I do behind me. So I'm trying to get in everything I can get in while I can. And so thank you for having me on your incredible show. And yes, we met at the Chicago school, and I was filming. I came to the school and I said to our department chair, I said, I'm working on this documentary, and we need to film a reel so that we can go out and raise some more money. I'd already received some money to do the reel by the California Black Women's Health Project. And so I said, we want to come and do a reel, and can we use the lobby? I said, it's a perfect place. And they didn't even change a word. They said, yes, you can. So we scheduled it, had a professional film crew there. They didn't pay for that. The grant I received took care of
Right.
and they allowed us to do it. And that's on my project called The Things That Make Men Cry. So we did the initial reel, and now we're going to be looking to raise money to do the full documentary. But we have something now we can use to try to generate more money because the Chicago school was very kind to let us do that. So that's where you and I first met. And I was also very happy to see a sister. And my granddaughter was there helping me unpack, and she says, I think she's an AKA. And oh
Right.
my goodness, because you must have had some paraphernalia in your office or something. And she
Right.
said,
Right. Oh, right. I probably did.
AKA. And that was even a greater pleasant surprise. So we hooked up and connected. And since that time, it's just been wonderful seeing you at the different conferences and being on your show and getting those big hugs and taking pictures together. So it's just been beautiful. It's been what it should be for sisters. So I'm
I
doing,
want to give a shout out to Dr. Sid Seitzer because
yes,
he has been an amazing resource to me. And I never really publicly thanked him, but I want to thank him. And because him and Dr. Prescott were
yes,
instrumental in me finishing, he's going to kill me too, finishing my dissertation, getting it done. So
well,
much love to them, love them to pieces. So
yes,
kudos. And I mean, it just shows you to my testimony what type of person Dr. Seitzer is,
yes,
because I mean, he's just an amazing, he's kind of like the stealth bomber. You don't realize because he's quiet, right?
yeah,
And he's just, but
yes.
he stands his ground, he gets it done and everything. So anyway, sidebar.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, he's very supportive, and he even appeared on the reel. He allowed them to get his comments too, and so just a wonderful, wonderful man, and Dr. Laura Prescott as well. Just wonderful team. So fast forwarding to what I'm doing now, I have been working on a book. I have about 8 books already, but I have been working on this particular book for about 3 or 4 years. I had been talking about it. I had done some stuff around the topic, a brand new me, and I just, was so excited about it. Did a little talk show about it. I mean, I was just in there. And then, as customary, we can get some delays. And I got a delay and I got a disruption. And I kind of went into another area because the things that make men cry started picking up steam. And I was trying to, start focusing there. So finally, this summer, I made a goal. I said, I've got to get that book, Becoming a Brand New You, rewrite your story, reclaim your power, become brand new. I had to get that finished. And then I needed to do the second edition to The Things That Make Men Cry, because I wanted to really make this a part of research that I'm doing at the school. So I wanted to connect all these dots. So I have been blessed to get those projects finished. Yeah.
I'm still trying to publish my, I mean, my dissertation is published, but I want to make it where books, because it's crashed into the concrete ceiling. And I think today, more than ever,
Right.
we need a guideline and an understanding that African American women, in particularly, as we have seen,
Right.
do not have glass ceilings. Our ceilings are concrete. So
Hmm.
I'm going to expand that research to others. But right now, I'm going to focus on us. So
That's right. I
anyway,
get it.
but
That's
so thank you
great.
for encouraging me.
Yes, yes, you got to get that book finished. And becoming a brand new you was tougher to write because I was sharing my story. Because I wanted people to know how you can start off in life and how things happen, but yet you can still reach the goal. You can still do, everything that God has called you to do. And so I want to encourage people because a lot of times people think they can't really do what they want to do or what they are called to do. Sometimes people think they are too old, that they have had these things happen in their lives and they'll never get them done. So that was the impetus for this book. And so, of course, it was so personal. So that made it more difficult to write because you're sharing personal things about yourself. But I've always been transparent. And so I think this book will be very enlightening to people who sometimes look at you and think, "Oh, you've been this place all your life." Well, no, I have not. And so they need to see though that you can change your story. You can change the ending to your story. And so that's what I'm excited about. And it will drop along with the second edition of The Things That Make Men Cry in October, and which is right around the corner. So I'm really, really excited.
Wow. I mean, we're going to talk offline because it's you believe me, I'll tell you later. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'll tell you later. But
Yeah.
I think that primarily uh when you're able, you've done, I mean, understatement, you've done some amazing things um through these times. But the
Yeah.
reason why I asked you to talk about grief, I believe, and I'm going to step out there on the limb, that there's some people, you can raise your hand, like us, that can function in the most horrific things, that even though we dragging, we get knocked down, but we stand up, and we stand up and we're creative. We want to do something better and bigger than ever.
Hmm.
But there are some people that are paralyzed with things,
Yep.
grief.
Hmm.
And I remember somebody that I was involved with, and my dad died. And about 6 months after my dad died, he said, "You know what? Your dad was your best friend. And I've been waiting to see you just break down." And I was so shocked that he said that. But being the people that we are, making you me, that we are, we bounce back very quickly. We come back, right? I didn't even stumble. I said, "You didn't see me in front of the nursing home every day.
Hmm.
You didn't see me when I was leaving my dad's room after I had to feed him." And his nickname, his street name was Big Man. So I got to feed Big Man. The man who carried me on my shoulders, taught me to golf, taught me to swim, taught me life. You didn't see me in that car, boo, like snotting
Hmm.
and crying. So when my daddy passed, the last words I said to my father was, because he said he knew he was getting ready to die. And I said, "Do you really think you are?" He said, "Oh, yeah, baby, I'm getting ready to get out of here." I'm like, okay. I said, okay. I said, "But daddy, you going to be able to swim, golf, bowl, do all the things that you've always loved to do. He said, there you go saying some silly. I said, no, sis. And we're laughing, right? Because this is who we are, right?
Right.
Next day he died.
Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah.
I felt like he loved me enough to give me a heads up.
What's up? He told you. Yeah.
And he never lied to me. So I believed him when he said he was going to die, right? My
Yeah.
mom did the same thing. I'm getting ready to die, and she died. So
Hmm.
I've been blessed. My parents weren't lingerers. But it wasn't that the grief for me was any different. Maybe it was different. But maybe because I felt like I was really there. I don't know. But I've seen people. The reason why I wanted you to come on, Dr. Gloria, I have seen people that are like just engulfed and paralyzed with grief. So I'm asking, what I want you to do is try to walk us through some solutions or some suggestions.
Okay. It's interesting that we're talking about this because in the book I talk about my grief. I talk about in an 18-month period losing a baby brother, losing a mother,
Hmm.
being told by an ex-husband that he's going in a different direction, and then my dad gets diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and so within an 18-month period I
And
suffered
how
the
many months?
18 month.
Oh, God.
In an 18-month period, I suffered four major losses, not to mention that I lost my church home because I was a pastor's wife. So, people kind of chose to stay connected with him, of course, and I left the church. And then my home, we had a home together. So, that ended up, getting sold. And so it just, in all that time, and so I know exactly how you feel. I was the person that took care of my dad. My mom died quickly. She called me. I had gone on a cruise. I came home. Dad said, "Come over. Mom's not feeling good." I go over the because I'd always told them if they don't feel good, it doesn't cost anything to call 911. It only costs if you get in the ambulance. But call them, let them check your vitals, do all those things. So they did that. And when I got there, the fire department was there. And um, mom, apparently, her vitals were not that bad, So they said, we still would like to take her. But my mother looked at me. She said, I'm not going. I'm not going. And so I was able to share with her while I was on the cruise, I was reading the scripture and I was reading Hebrews, where we always talk about now faith is the substance of things hoped for. But I read the whole chapter and I realized that because we had always thought they were talking about stuff and things in terms of faith. But no, it was talking about your salvation, that you were going to be saved. And so I was able to share that with her. And she was just, oh my goodness, it was just so rewarding for her. She says, "Oh, that's good, baby." So I left. I, said, "I'll be back in the morning." She said, "You leave?" And I said, "Well, I got to go home to eat and I'll come back. I'll be here first thing in the morning." Daddy called me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Mom had passed. So that was very fast. But then with my dad, he was living with us because after mom passed, we took him in to live with us. And when he was diagnosed around the same time my ex wanted a divorce, um, he was doing hospice at home. So I was there. So I think I had anticipatory grief because I knew it was coming. So I was grieving a little bit every day. I was crying silently as I was taking care of him. I was over here doing what I needed to do, but then I was, crying. And sometimes I'd even go in there and lay on his shoulder and cry because that was how close we were. And so it was a different thing because there was a little bit more time. So I had more time with him, but still all that loss at one time. And then I was the one that had to spearhead the arrangements. My siblings assisted, but I was kind of the point person. So doing all of those things and then having to try to keep myself together for my dad and to think about all these things I now have to do, such as find a place to live and do all those things. I plowed ahead and I had on my big superwoman cape on and I was up. And then one day, after
Mm.
dad died and after my ex moved out and I moved to a new place, I was in my bedroom and it hit me. Grief hit me like a sledgehammer. It just knocked me to the floor. And I realized I had been avoiding feeling the feelings. I kept busy because that's what we do. We keep busy, we keep doing stuff, but I needed to stop. And I know God wanted me to stop to be able to go through a healthy grieving process. But I was trying to not deal with that. I was just trying to keep it moving. I don't want anybody to see me, fall out, fall down. I didn't do that at the funeral. I wasn't laying in the casket at the funeral. Well, first of all, I had served my mom and dad. So I didn't need to lay down with them then because I had done everything you could do for two people before they died. So I hit the floor and it was God that said, "Get up. Get up. I have not forgotten you." And I had to get help because I was bad. I was really bad off. It was like I had just been knocked to the floor. I mean, I felt the pain of it. So I want to say to anybody who's watching, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not be okay and not do something about it. So we've got to have an opportunity to be real, to name our stuff and to speak on it and to say, you know what, I'm not doing okay. I'm really not. This is too much. It's overwhelming so that you can get help. But a lot of us are suffering in silence because we're not able to, say that it's okay to be in this place.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, you went through a lot of different layers of emotions.
Oh boy,
Did- So, how long were you married?
24 years.
So you went through. I mean, that's almost that could like a lifetime. Is it, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? You
Yeah.
were married, and I have a sidebar. You're probably one of the most anointed women that I know personally, other than me. No, people are gonna be like, "Huh, you, you delusional." When I went to your birthday party, wasn't a party; it was the celebration of life while you were living, and it
Mhm.
was just amazing. I had no idea. So I'm saying that to say, for you to have been a first lady of a church and to have to come off that pedestal, so to speak, that's coupled with grief slash depression,
Mhm.
because that's a loss that you that probably I think that you're trying to figure out how you could have avoided that loss. I mean, with death, we don't have any control. But with marriages, we think about, well, what if I had done this? Or, oh, I should have left earlier. I should have been whatever. There's a lot of second stuff. But your thing was compounded.
Mhm. Yeah.
You had a
My whole
congregation,
identity.
you had
Mhm.
sick parents, you got so you just passed out. That was your solution.
I mean, I know it was God. I was driving yesterday. I had all these places I had to go, and I was driving, and a song came on. A Walter Hawkins song came on. He does all things well, and I remember because Daddy was in hospice. And when I say close, me and Daddy, I was Daddy's blessed child. So I was close with both of them, but Daddy, I was so much like my dad. My dad was this, kind and calm person, and I was a lot like him. So we really vibed. So,
So
in
you're
hospice,
saying you're a very kind person. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
I am. I can be unkind, but I am kind.
Messing with you and calm and calm. Okay,
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna remember all of that.
I'm pretty calm. I'm pretty calm.
Okay,
But I
I agree. I agree.
Yes, but I remember, uh, because of hospice, they don't want you to send them to the hospital. They just want to keep them comfortable at home. But when Daddy was in pain, and I said, I am not going to sit here with him in pain and not get him to the hospital. So this last time that they took him to the hospital, I'm driving my car behind the ambulance. My daddy is sitting up with his hat on because he was up until the very end. And I had
I love it.
yes, honey. That song came on, and all I could do was worship because God was reminding me that even in this horrible situation, He still does all things well. And so that song just came on. That song and Marvin Sapp's song, I mean, they just came on, and it just, I mean, I didn't even put them on. I just turned my music on, and then it just hit right there. And I still see it. Like yesterday when I was driving on the same freeway, I could see the ambulance with my dad sitting up because that song was playing. And all I could do was just thank God because He used so many things to help me. But even with that, we have to be real about how we're really feeling. I am not Superwoman. I am mere mortal. And so I was not doing well. I was trying to be a big girl. I was trying to be strong because I know where Daddy went. I know where he was going because he lived that life every day. I know where my mama is because she lived that life every day. So it wasn't about that. But when you're close to somebody, there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't talk to my parents and saw them every other day. So it was like, oh my gosh, the breath had been snatched out of me. So I think the coping came because at least I had tools in my toolkit. And that's what we want people to do is to start putting tools in their toolkit because these days are going to happen. You cannot stop loss. You cannot stop things from happening. We're living in a time right now in society. We don't know what's getting ready to happen. So we need to have our little bag filled with those survival tools so we can pull them out at any time. And so when we're ready, I'm going to share with you some of those tools that I already had in my toolkit. So even though I was on the floor and I was out of breath, I couldn't breathe, but I still was able when I did get up, I had these tools I could go to.
Well, see, here's the thing. And I mean, kudos, bravo, and we're blessed. You have those tools, and those tools do. I don't think that you're going to share the two. I think you're going to share them,
Yeah.
but those tools don't include self medication, drugs, and alcohol, which is the tools we tend as African Americans to deal with everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sober for over 30 years, so I get it. I get it 1,000%. And I'm not, I mean, that's part of my story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm like, oh, but hey, I'm blessed to say, okay, it wouldn't be this pain to change. It'd be another pain to change. It wouldn't be this one, right? But finding coping skills that's not anger, liquor, drugs, weed is the, I mean, today, I mean, people look at weed as if it's Tylenol.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and so this is how they're coping.
Right.
They're coping. A lot of people are coping because they're on hallucinogenic drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
that's not really coping. That's just putting a band-aid
right,
on
right,
the situation,
right.
right?
Well, see, you said it, and you may know about this terminology, but when people have pre-existing conditions, it's hard for them to then automatically pick up positive tools to deal with negative emotions during tough times. So those people needed some other help even before a crisis hit. They needed to have some different methods that they used because they had pre-existing conditions. So they should have had some help before.
That they don't know they
They
have.
they don't know that, and that's why we have to teach people as to what is healthy and what is not healthy in terms of coping. And so for me, the tools were, first of all, my faith. My faith became everything. My faith, I know I worry God to death, because I had to lean on Him totally. I didn't understand it. It's a funny thing. You're a Christian, but you're saying, Lord, why did you take my parents? You're still questioning because you somehow think, and I mean, I was not a baby when my parents died. So you somehow think they're going to just be here because they were here and they were fairly healthy. And so why are they not here? They hadn't been sick. So um, my faith was everything. And then, secondly, you have to acknowledge your condition. I had to finally come to grips that I wasn't okay because I had been telling everybody when they asked, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm just blessed. I'm fine. I'm blessed." Well, I am blessed, but I wasn't feeling blessed. And so we have to acknowledge our condition because people will never get help if they don't acknowledge where they are. You've got to name it. You got to say, I'm feeling down. Like my girlfriends would call, uh, we want to come over. And I'd say, okay, but I'm not good today. So come on. But I'm going to be crying and don't try to stop me because that's what I need to do. And they would come and they just sit and hold me, or they'd sit here and they'd go get some tea, or they'd bring me something and bring me tissue and just let me be. But that helped me because I didn't have to conceal how I was really feeling. And so many people think they have to hide how they're really feeling. So being able to acknowledge your pain is very, very important. The third tool that is just so important for me and all of you, whether you know it or not, and that's surrounding yourself with healthy people. I keep telling folks there's some folks you need to just delete. They're not healthy. And by the time they finish with you, you're going to wish you can crawl in that casket with your parents because they are so negative. So being around healthy people, even people that will say, okay, that's enough. Come on, get your clothes on. We're going outside now. you know, because sometimes people will just let you wallow in it and not help you to come out. So sometimes you need that sister girl that'll say, okay, baby, that's it. Let's go. Come on.
Right.
We
The
got to go
tough
outside
love,
now.
right?
Yes. So surrounding yourself with healthy people is very, very, very important. Then the thing that happens, and it happened with me with my mom's death, because I started blaming myself. I said, I should have made her go to the hospital that day. I should have just made her go. I didn't make her go. And normally I would have made her go, but I didn't make her go. So I walked around with the question, I wonder if I had made her go to the hospital, would she still be here? And the answer is no, absolutely not. But in our thought process, we're irrational. And so I started blaming myself for not getting her to the hospital when the people were there. So forgiving yourself is so
Mhm.
important as one of the tools, and even forgiving others. When somebody dies, the best and the worst come out of people. And if you're walking around after that thing is over and you're mad at cousin Bobo and you're mad at sister Sarah because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, or did you see them? They were all in the casket and they didn't do nothing. So you're angry with these people. That will accelerate your pain and it will decrease the ability for you to go through a healthy grieving process because now you're engaging in blaming and unforgiveness. And when we harbor unforgiveness, it's like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. So you're walking around dying every day because you refuse to forgive that person or even to forgive yourself. Then the other thing I had to do, during that time, I had to really watch what I was eating because sugar pulls you down and sugar is my comfort. So I love sugar to comfort me. And I all I wanted to eat and digest was sugar. But that was the worst thing for me because it pulls you down. And caffeine revs you up. So caffeine can really exacerbate any anxiety symptoms that you may have because when you have a loss, sometimes you'll feel very anxious because you don't really know how to kind of wrestle with these feelings that you're having. You're all over the place. So if you're ingesting sugar and you're ingesting caffeine, that's going to make it worse for you. So getting your body moving and eating right during this time is very important. And then last but not least, I had to seek professional help
Mhm.
because when I got hit in my chest that day and I struggled to get back up, I knew that I was not okay and I needed to process that grief. So it would not become clinical depression, because we all, when we're grieving, we all feel sad, but that doesn't mean that you have clinical depression. But if you continue to not have a healthy grieving process, it can very easily turn to more of the more serious depressions. And so going to therapy was very, very important. I didn't need medication. And I tell people all the time, don't let them medicate you when you're grieving because you do need to cry. You do need to feel it. You do need to feel that pain. But medication can dull all of that. So don't let them medicate you unless you're already taking antidepressants for depression. So that's kind of what I did. Those were my tools, and I carry them around every day because guess what? That was the losses back in 2011, 2012, 2013. But there are new losses that we experience. What's happening in our society, to me, feels like a major loss. And so I have to go to my tools and make sure I'm activating those tools to keep myself in a healthy place.
Well, I think that's outstanding advice. I think it's outstanding advice. I think that that's not the kind of advice most people take or hear. Um, I think that most people, I mean, anger. A lot of people are angry. They want to blame. You know, if you think about every time something horrible happens in the world and there's a death, they automatically want to sue somebody for the death. Or I don't know if you just, I mean, just a sidebar about the little girl, I don't know her name, but 14 years old, that her mother takes her to Mexico to give her implants and a butt at 14 and lied to the dad and said it was that she died of COVID. Can you imagine the grief, the father, because they were divorced, but she couldn't take her out the country without what? The
Permission.
father's permission.
Yeah, yeah.
So think about how people, like you said, oh, if I'd have made her go to the hospital. Maybe she's, you know, we want to, I mean, we want to blame ourselves for things that, but we aren't God. See, it all goes back to God.
Mm-hmm.
God is the author of everything but confusion. Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's with that. And the first thing you said was faith.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have the faith to believe if God had wanted it to be a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard. That's
Yeah.
really hard. That's so hard. But we love our family. We love our parents. We love our children. We love our siblings. And we don't want them to die.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of life.
Yeah.
So now that this whole process, then what? What do you do? What do you do? You have to have the tools, like you said.
Yeah.
You gotta have. You've got to understand the tools. And I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it. You can Google everything today. I'm being serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say you don't have access to certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can Google grief and things to do to help me. Now that might not be the say all be all, but that's better than pills, alcohol. And you know, you said that they have pre-existing conditions. Some people don't know they got pre-existing conditions.
That's the
It's
thing.
their
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
This ain't pre-existing to them, Dr. Gloria. This
Right.
is who they. This is their lifestyle.
Right.
I saw some people today, not last week, today. I thought I left my phone at church, so I pulled over into a parking lot of a restaurant to check my purse because I didn't see it. I looked, but it was in the bottom of the side, right? And this couple was talking and they parked and they got out. It was 11:30 in the morning. They were high,
Mm-hmm.
noticeably high, because that's their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about dealing with grief, I think, well, we know everybody deals with it differently. I know people right now that parents have been dead close to 40 years and they are still grieving.
Yeah. Well, that's complicated grief, and the reason they're grieving, very possibly, when you don't have resolve, if things haven't been resolved in those relationships, it makes it hard for people to let go. So we call that complicated grief, and that can lead to a lot of mental health disturbances because you are holding on to that pain, much longer than you should ever hold it. There are some people, sometimes when I'm speaking for women's retreats and events, I come across women who they're still sad because they were divorced 50 years ago, and they haven't moved on because they've still been, a victim of what happened. See, because that's what happens, if you don't move on and heal, then you become a victim. And then when you are a victim, you think everybody owes you everything. You think everybody is responsible for what happened to you. So you're really not the best person to be around because you're always irritable and agitated because you think somebody has to pay for what happened to me. So that's why our healing is essential. If we don't heal, we're going to die sooner than we have to die. Because if that pain continues, it will then affect your physical health.
This is so complicated. I didn't think it's going to be this complicated. I thought it's going to be like, because this is complicated. I'll tell you why it's complicated. My mother, God rest her soul, I had to make her write down. This is later in life. I said, Mom, you and Daddy have not been together since I was 12. I'm 112 now. You still shit. Okay. She said, what is this for? I said, you going before you say one word about him, you're gonna write it down. You're
Mhm.
gonna write down. You still talking about stuff that happened. You talking about when you was pregnant with me. What? So so I wish this is complicated grief, I guess. Now I didn't know that then,
Yeah.
right? To me,
Mhm.
it was just need help, right?
Mhm.
But you're right. And I had kids and she had grandkids and great grandkids when I was with your daddy. When I was with your
Yeah.
daddy,
Yeah.
they had 5 more wives, 16,000 more kids. He didn't, but I'm just saying, these are the things that happen to people. We
Yeah.
need to do a program on this, like a
Yeah.
real panel program, because this is complicated.
Yeah. And it's very common. It's very common for people to be holding on to uh, this stuff so much so until it's just
Junk,
made them sick.
junk. Don't
Yeah.
call it stuff, call
Yeah.
it junk.
And then they're stuck. They're stuck there. And if you talk to people, you can tell where I can tell just this good where people are stuck when they're telling me their story with the intensity that they share it. I understand. Oh, you're still back there where when you were 17 or when you were 12. You're still there. And until you grow up from that place, you're never going to be healthy. And you're always going to have problems with relationships because that person who hurt you is still ever present in your mind. You've given them way too much power. That's why I said in my book, the title is Rewrite Your Story, Reclaim Your Power. It became power for me when I was able to forgive and move on. And not
Okay,
just him, but me. Forgive
but
myself.
we need an addendum to your book.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, because I'm gonna write this chapter. Look, guest author here. Look, when I had a choice to going back to school and getting my doctorate and working on a PhD, I knew immediately, even though I may not have been able to even get into a clinical psychology program because my background is journalism, so I don't
Mhm.
have a psychology. I always knew that I could never be a psychologist because I would say things like, look, you need to do yourself a favor. The
Well, I do
police
too,
would
but
be in
sometimes,
my office. The police would be there with a warrant.
well, I do have to speak very frankly to people at times.
Because I would be like, what? He did what? And what did you do? Well, I told him. You told him. You didn't take something to try to kill him. Right? So I already know.
Well, no,
I
Dr.
know
Chloe, we better not
that
have
I
you in the
need to
field.
be an organizational psychologist
Yeah,
and
that's
not
best. That's best.
because I'm listening to you right now and I'm saying this whoever's talking to Dr. Gloria is so blessed because she's saying, well, that tell them they just have to heal. I tell them I would be, I would be in prison. Listen, prison, prison. I would be in prison because I would have told her, look, how long you been with him? Okay. And how many times has he done this? And you keep telling him the same time. Maybe you need to get a permit from Augusta. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
And the next time he does it, maybe he needs it from a different perspective. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I bet you he have your attention there.
Well, Dr. Clarice, that probably won't be the
Some
best
people
advice.
don't know how to heal. My mother was 82 years old, still talking about my dad
Yeah.
for the last 40 years, probably.
Mhm.
What? And as if he was, I was, what?
But it stopped her from
Right.
living. It stopped her from living because that's what happens when people are still consumed with the past. You cannot move forward. I came up with this saying that living in the past can cause paralysis that can prevent one from even moving towards the future. So if I'm stuck on someone who hurt me, then I can't move forward. And so there are a lot of people that are stuck and they're not living their lives because they can't move past that person. It's almost like they think if they do, somehow they're letting them off the hook, you know. So it's something that needs to
We,
happen for
we
people to
have a
be
president of the United States that's stuck. Our
oh,
president. Number, honest to God.
yeah,
You brought it up. I didn't.
very impaired.
Stuck. He's stuck in the past.
Yeah.
So you heard it here. Dr. Gloria Morrow said, so if y'all want to get me, don't get me, get her.
Yeah.
She's stuck. Stuck.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what? Be honest. It takes a lot of self love to become unstuck. Because here's the caveat: the person, the place, the time, wherever you're stuck, look around. Nobody's there but you.
Right, right.
The other people have moved
They're
on.
going on. Yep.
And if you approach them about being about what happened, they're not gonna remember. And if they do remember, they don't care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you stuck by yourself.
Yep. Oh yeah. That's for sure. Yep. It is
And I mean,
definitely.
people spend their whole lives in love with something where this person has moved on, got
Mhm.
another family, living a beautiful, loving life. And
Mhm.
this person is sitting there from afar, going over stuff over and over and over and over again,
Yeah. Cutting their
still
life short.
blaming that
Mhm.
person.
Yeah. 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 They're cutting their life short. They are refusing to move. And that's why your show is so important. That's why information is so important to teach people the tools they need to start cultivating because they have to cultivate those tools. So they sound easy to do, but they aren't. So you have to cultivate that. I had to cultivate, I was a Christian, but I had to cultivate daily devotional. I had to cultivate prayer time where I wasn't just praying about what you could do to the enemy. I was learning how to pray where you're speaking life, and so that has to be cultivated. But we have to teach people because you're right, they don't know. They have pre-existing conditions and they are using whatever form of medication that they are accustomed to. But
They're
there's an
self
old,
medicating.
yeah,
I
they're
mean, they're
self,
self
whatever it
medicating.
is, yeah, whatever it is, they're doing it. But in order to have something you have never had, you have to do something
There's
you've
something
never done.
different. Yeah.
You do. And so that's why these shows are important. That's why you're important. That's why some of the work that's being done to try to help our people is so important so that we can be healthy, so we can serve, and we can not let what's happening in society take us out prematurely.
Well, I think personally, and from what you said, the first step is doing whatever you can to heal,
Yep.
whatever that looks like for you. It could be, I mean, it could be taking a nice trip somewhere. It could that could be the start of it. Take a trip. I every year I honor my mom on her birthday. She
Mm-hmm.
loved theater. We love theater. Every year we go to a play together. Every year. So I'm going to go see Jaja's hair braiding on her birthday. Every
Mm-hmm.
year we did something. You know, that was us, right? Celebrate the person.
Yeah.
Celebrate. Even when I got a divorce, I went to Hawaii by myself. Everybody in Hawaii was on what? Their honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
I was hanging out with people. I had the best time because I felt like I married me over again,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to remember, I'm not normal. So
Mm-hmm.
other people would have probably like, oh my God. But you got to surround yourself with happy people, with positive people. Sometimes you have to push, pray until something happens. You
Mm-hmm.
just got to keep pushing, praying until something happens because it will. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they call it miracles.
Yep.
I told somebody that one day she was going to wake up and not remember the last time she heard from the person she broke up with over 17. They had been together over 17 years. And she looked at me like I had lost my mind. Like, what? Wake up and not think about what? And it happened. Not, it was years later, but she said, you're not going to believe what happened. I can't remember the last time I talked to. I said, mm-hmm. But we have to believe in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
elevate ourselves. Because that, don't you think that helps too? Just elevating ourselves and believing in ourselves.
Yeah, but you got to go, you got to use your tools in order to get there. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
your tools are very important to help, because when it first happens, it hits you in your self-esteem, your self-concept. It just knocks you. So you have to start doing some things differently, and it'll pay off for you. It has paid off for me. I can only say
okay.
what it's done for me.
This is where you find Dr. Gloria. She's on Facebook under Gloria Morrow and Dr. underscore Gloria underscore Morrow at MSN.com. That's Dr. underscore Gloria underscore Morrow at MSN.com. You can find her on all social media. Her book will be out in October. She's going to have an event October 12th. I thank you. I appreciate you. And until the next time, would you like to leave us with a few words for the next 30 seconds before we go off?
I just want to say thank you for having me, and to say to every person who's watching, I know it must feel awful to go through things that you've gone through, but joy will come in the morning.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gloria. I appreciate you. Don't go away. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for helping me, Dr. Gloria, walk through my pain and change and remembering to utilize my tools. And thank all of you guys for listening and watching and encouraging me in your own way and helping me to walk through my pain and change. So until the next time, take care. God bless and continue to walk through your pain and change into your victory. Good night.